Hello, I'm Deb Knight. Welcome to A Current Affair. It's the manhunt that's gripping the world. A fugitive father on the run with his 3 children, evading police in rugged bushland for 3 years, all as their heartbroken mother desperately waits for their return. Recent sightings have given her hope, but the hunt continues.
I'm just a mother standing here in front of the world, begging you all to help me bring my babies home.
These are the desperate pleas of a mother who hasn't seen her children for 3 years.
I'm overwhelmed. I don't know, I'm like in survival mode every minute of every day.
Jada 11, Maverick 9 and Ember just 8 years old. They're Catherine's babies, but the world now knows them as the missing children of Maricopa, from the North Island of New Zealand.
I miss my babies so much. I just want them home. I love them. I love them. I think about them every single day.
Their fugitive father, Tom Phillips, abducted the children over a custody dispute. They've been living off-grid and evading police.
If I'm cold in a house and I have heating and, you know, unlimited blankets and clothing and stuff, how are they managing out there?
But finally, a breakthrough. This grainy footage offering new hope. 4 figures emerging from New Zealand's wilderness. A man dressed in camouflage, trailing behind him 3 smaller figures believed to be the Phillips children.
It's not close up or anything, it's not very long what I've seen, but that's them. They're all there. There's 3 of them. They're walking, they're carrying their own gear on their back. They're there.
Catherine and New Zealand police are certain this proves what months of exhaustive ground and air searches couldn't. Her children are alive.
It's the first sign in nearly 3 years. It was good. It was really good. It's the best news that anybody could hope for.
Spotted on John McCoverney's sheep and cattle station, it encompasses over 3,000 hectares. The chance encounter was recorded by John's grandson. But since the video went viral, the McCoverney family has been receiving death threats, which is why John doesn't want to show his face.
They'd gone out shooting, pig hunting, and a couple of them had gone out there and they were on the bush line. And then sort of out of nowhere, they saw these people coming. And they thought they were poachers. They said, do you know this is private property? And, you know, the comment from the eldest girl, because the father had walked on at this stage, it was, of course we know. And he said, does anybody know you're here? And she reacted and said, only you. And then they just kept on walking.
John's grandson claims the children didn't appear to be in distress, but Catherine feels her daughter's behaviour could be interpreted differently.
It's like she's trying to say something without actually saying something because her father is right there.
The McCoverneys called authorities immediately, but say it wasn't until the next morning that officers began scouring the property. By then, it was too late.
I expect a helicopter to be deployed straight away with heat-seeking equipment on it, sniffer dogs out there.
This isn't the first time Phillips has run away with the children. In September 2021, his car was found abandoned on a beach, sparking a 3-week land and air search before the family suddenly reappeared.
They'd lost a phenomenal amount of weight. Their clothes were falling off them. Like, I can't even actually imagine what they had endured.
They were told they weren't allowed to talk about it. The camping trip, they did say their rice went mouldy. They said they were near water, and Maverick said they did lots of walking.
Jubilee Dawson is the children's older sister.
Obviously, a lot of time has passed and they're all going to look different and be different.
Police have charged Tom Phillips with the armed hold-up of an ANZ bank where it's believed he was aided by a young female. In another incident, CCTV shows an alleged Phillips and a child smashing a shop window and stealing a bike before fleeing.
There's just no excuse. If he wanted to do something like that, he could have done that alone. Why did he have to involve one of the children?
They're going to be missing out on a whole bunch of social skills. They're probably going to have childhood trauma from this.
The recent sighting has ignited an urgent appeal for information, with many believing Phillips is receiving help from the community.
Between goats and deer and pigs and whitebait and, you know, probably shot or pinched the odd sheep around the place, he's probably lived quite well. And you know, we, as I said, we didn't, the kids don't certainly look malnourished.
Many of you say that the children are fine, that they're being well looked after. How do you know? Have you seen them? Or is it just bush talk?
Unfortunately, a 3-day police search with support from the Air Force turned up no new answers.
I love them so much. They're my world, they're my everything, they're my reason for being.
It's such a mystery and a terrible nightmare for the poor mother, Catherine. The last sighting was more than a week ago, and for now, her torment goes on. Around 60% of adult Australians are overweight or obese, and we're not being helped by the Health Star rating systems on packaged food. Critics say it's a joke. It's not mandatory for a start, and it gives consumers false impressions of what is and what isn't healthy. They say the system needs a shake-up.
I would say this product, instead of the 3-star health rating, should carry a warning.
Ultra-processed, but with a high Health Star rating.
We've seen that manufacturers have been savvy and they've used this voluntary tool to their advantage.
Are Health Stars working, or is it leaving a bad taste?
Mum lets us have this only on the weekends. It's not an everyday treat.
Paediatric nutritionist Mandy Sacher has gathered the products she believes have the most concerning Health Star ratings, like this packet of lollies, 5 stars.
Glucose syrup is a refined processed sugar that spikes our blood sugar levels very quickly.
Is it a healthier alternative to sugar?
Absolutely not.
11 vitamins and minerals, protein.
Up and Go has a 4.5 Health Star rating.
Up and Go has got 4 teaspoons of sugar. 3 of those teaspoons are added sugar. So a child is having close to half their daily allocated allowance of sugar in one Up and Go.
Nutrigrain and Milo, they both have 4 Health Star ratings. In your opinion, should they have that Health Star rating?
Absolutely not. If you look at the ingredient list, sugar is mentioned 9 times. I have never seen a product where sugar is actually mentioned 9 times.
These bluey bickies don't pass Mandy's nutrition test either.
First 3 ingredients are refined wheat flour, vegetable oil and sugar. Does that sound healthy?
This packet of twisties, in which MSG is an ingredient, and these sugar-free Zupa Dupas both have a 3 Health Star rating.
These are the most concerning of all of the products I'm showing you here. One of the ingredients in a Zupa Dupa is banned in the US.
It uses an overall algorithm to calculate a rating. So basically foods lose points for their energy content, saturated fat, sodium and sugar, but they can get some points back for their protein, fibre content and fruit and veg content.
Nutrigrain has essential fuel.
Health Stars is a government-led policy used in Australia for more than 10 years. But the food manufacturers and retailers themselves are responsible for the correct and accurate use of the system. Dr. Alexandra Jones is lead of the Food Governance Program at the George Institute in Sydney.
What it does mean is that you could have a product, for example, like a muesli bar, that does have some salt and sugar in it, but it's able to cancel out some of those points by putting in extra fibre and protein.
Unwrap the
Alexandra says Health Stars gets it right most of the time, but less than 40% of products are using it.
But the problem is, I think, that it has been voluntary, and there are thousands of low-scoring products that we can see in our database, but the average consumer can't see when they go into the supermarket.
Let's take Milo cereal bars, for example. The product has a 4 Health Star rating. There's an image of a young, fit girl doing sport on the front. You could argue that it's a great marketing ploy.
What you've touched on there, I think, is the fact that food labels are contested real estate. So for the food industry, that's marketing space. For government, it's a potential public health tool.
Today, 7-year-old Scarlett and 5-year-old Jackson are especially excited. They get to eat some of their favourite foods.
It tastes delicious.
Does Mum let you eat these?
No.
Why not?
Because they're too sugary.
I am a time-poor, full-time working mum, and I rely on the star ratings to give me a general idea as to whether it's going to be healthy for my kids or not.
This mothers group, Caroline, Steph and Michelle, all admit they have little understanding of how the star rating system works.
I always think that, you can slap on whatever label you like about protein, fibre and calcium, but at the end of the day, the numbers is what's going to really give me like a sold sign where I'm going to come back and buy it again.
So I do give my kids an up and go in the morning, mostly my son because he's a really, really fussy eater. So at least if he has an up and go, I feel like a little bit more comfortable sending him to school knowing his tummy's full.
Mandy, I love what you've done here. You've given us a supermarket alternative and a homemade option too. Let's start with the up and go swap.
We've got a very basic smoothie. Banana, milk, peanut butter, a little bit of cocoa powder. Around 80 cents to 90 cents per smoothie. When we look at an up and go, we're looking at over $2 per carton.
Mandy suggests Wheat Bix for breakfast and make your own Zuper Dupers by using watered down fruit juice.
They taste sweet and crunchy.
But how do we get our kids to make healthy choices?
I love blueberry.
Paediatric speech pathologist Mandy Lee Adno suggests separating always and sometimes foods.
If they've never been exposed to it, well, one scenario is they won't try it, they won't have it because it's something that's scary. Another thing is if we deny it and if constantly saying to our kid, you can't have that, it's unhealthy, they're going to binge.
This is a sometimes food.
The message I'd really like to give consumers is that it does work pretty well on most products. If you see a product you don't trust, just keep shopping.
Yeah, it can be hard to know what is and what isn't healthy with the star rating system as it is. Best idea, go with fresh and unprocessed if you can. A visit to a gallery not far from his London home introduced then Prince Charles to the work of an Australian landscape artist. 2 decades on, Warwick Fuller has again been invited to join King Charles as the official artist for his Australian tour.
In the art world, Warwick Fuller is royalty, chosen by the world's most famous family to capture the beauty of places the royals visit on tour.
Pure excitement, yeah. Well, my 4th tour, you could say I'm an old hand.
A tiny gallery in Katoomba, in New South Wales' Blue Mountains, might be the last place you'd expect to find a friend of King Charles III. Lost Bear Gallery is where Warwick Fuller's paintings of the vast and inspiring Australian bush are proudly on display. For awestruck gallery goers, these charming landscapes trigger emotions. Warwick's brushstrokes draw them out.
I love this little painting here. It's not got a lot in it, but I just love the feeling of that last bit of sun just catching the top of the bulrushes and the quietness of day coming on.
His paintings can take you anywhere. It's hard not to get lost in them. This one, called Blue Plateau, a giant 200 by 400 centimetre masterpiece. If you look closely, you can even see the sulphur-crested cockatoos in the distance. It's work like this that's earned Warwick a spot on the King's entourage, His Majesty's official royal tour artist.
In a letter he wrote to me some time ago for my last tour, he said if you could stand to come on one more tour, but I'm thrilled to be given the opportunity, the honour of being able to travel with him.
Warwick joined the then Prince of Wales when he visited Australia in 2012, 2015 and 2018. He says he's well prepared for the military precision of royal tour timing.
I've been given a booklet and it's got everything that happens down to the last minute. And I've got to follow that and I've got to keep up with it. It's just a moving organism that waits for nobody.
The landscape painter says fleeting light creates daily deadlines.
I've painted many pictures where I've painted before sunrise and it's got to be finished before the sun comes up, otherwise it changes totally. And so I've got no option. I've got 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and that's it. And it's the same on a tour. If I'm still working and I know that I've got 7 minutes before that entourage leaves, well, I've got to be in that car or else I'm thumbing a ride to the airport.
It's during these royal tours Warwick formed a connection with the King.
One of my loveliest conversations with the King was when I was invited to his room before he departed from Cairns on the last tour. And I came into his rooms and his man put sandwiches out and there was a pot of tea there, and he left and the two of us just sat and talked for about 20 minutes. It was amazing. And while we talked, he poured me a cup of tea, which is, to me, an amazing thing to think that the King Charles III, has poured me a cup of tea.
Most of Warwick's inspiration comes from his home in the Blue Mountains. On the balcony, with dog Huey, he shared handwritten personal letters from King Charles.
He writes more beautifully and personally and heartfelt than some of my friends would. You know, and he's somebody that
he shows
the other side of the world.
Genuine care for you in these letters.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Warwick is humble. It's easy to see why the King took a liking to him.
His handwriting's quite shocking.
Hey, you can't say that.
I can't. I can. Maybe you can't. But I love that you've had it transcribed here. And my favourite part is just a little bit down the bottom. Can you read that out?
Which is, incidentally, entirely in confidence. It looks as though we may be going to Australia in coming November this year. So this is just an advanced warning in case you could bear the thought of coming with us again for a little light painting around the bazaars. I will fully understand if the whole thing would be too much for a second time. We both send you our warmest and heartfelt good wishes and much admiration. Yours ever, Charles.
So you couldn't turn it down after he wrote that to you?
Could not, would not anyway.
The King and Queen each year send Warwick a Christmas card.
It sounds like you do have quite a nice relationship there, even a friendship.
Yeah, well, maybe a genuine friendship. I'd like to think that, and it feels that way, but I only see him every few years or every couple of years, and a couple of communications in between. But yeah, I certainly feel as though there's something special there for him to invite me back again. As it's an indication that he does hold me in some esteem, I guess. Yes.
And for good reason. He's a very talented artist. And of course, Warwick will be right by the King's side during his tour, which officially gets underway on Monday. Quite the honour. Still to come, the teenage inventor giving a voice to those who can't speak for themselves.
And it's nice to be seen and heard just like everybody else.
Welcome back. Inspired by a classmate with cerebral palsy, Annie came up with an idea that could help 1.2 million Australians. The 16-year-old's invention has given Matilda a voice for the first time, and Matilda has plenty to say.
Oh, we look so baby. Annie and Matilda first met in grade 2. The Gold Coast girls are now 16 in their senior years of school and still great mates.
Annie is an amazing friend and I'm grateful for her and her big ideas.
This is how Matilda communicates. She's non-verbal with cerebral palsy. Incredibly, Matilda's computer can sense where her pupil is focusing on the screen to select letters. But there's just one big problem.
One of the biggest challenges is that people often stand behind me when I'm typing instead of looking at me.
I was guilty of it too because it was easier to stand behind her and read what she typed as she did. I realised if I was in that position I would hate it. The speakers are projecting out this way so I can hear it like this.
And that's not ideal for you, right? Because you want to make eye contact with people.
Non-verbal people rely on facial expressions to show emotions.
So, while in the classroom one day, Annie came up with a big idea.
So I decided that with just a Bluetooth speaker, if that was situated on her chest instead of the computer in front of her, it could project her voice out instead of back in her face from the computer.
Annie's parents, Peter and Georgia, instantly throwing their support behind the concept.
Where it came from, I think, is more from her heart than anything else, and it's a great sign of her character, and we're very proud of that.
We just wanted to try and help in the ways that we could, which was pretty much clicking the buy now button on a speaker.
So this is the first invention that you've created?
Yeah.
The goal is to make it look like a necklace. Like all great inventors, you've got to start somewhere.
When Matilda used it, we put it on her and it hung forwards like that. So it projected the voice down, and it's so heavy, especially compared to my newer speaker.
So then you went back to the drawing board and you came up with this. It is a lot lighter, isn't it?
Definitely a lot lighter, flatter as well.
It's called My Voice, and it has an interchangeable pendant on the front so you can accessorise the speaker.
I think it's very important that the necklace looks like jewellery rather than a medical aid.
Matilda, what was your first reaction when you saw the prototype?
My first reaction was, this is so awesome. And what other colours does it come in so I can match it to my outfits?
And putting it on, and then it Bluetooth connects to the device so that it'll project the voice from her chest.
I'm proud to be her friend and so impressed that her invention started because she wanted to help me.
That must be nice to hear.
Definitely, very nice. Seeing that on her and in use was a very surreal moment of this is actually happening.
While it's still in the prototype phase, it's won Annie Young Entrepreneur of the Year.
You're only 16. You're going through exams while you're doing this. I mean, how do you make this happen?
I have a very colourful Google Calendar. I have everything time slotted in.
Are you proud?
I'm so proud.
You should be. Where do you want to go from here now?
I'm looking for a partner, an engineer, a tech person of some sorts to help me make the speaker as small as possible. Ideally, the speaker will be the size of an AirTag. There's over 1.2 million non-verbal Australians, so there's nothing on the market like this that's tackling this issue.
And it's nice to be seen and heard just like everybody else.
Oh, what a beautiful friendship. And Annie, how good are you? You're an inventor in the making with a bright future, and I can't wait to see what it is that you come up with next. Coming up, hijinks on the hustings, stolen signs, trackers in the trunk, and a candidate on the run.
Are you lying right now, Jen?
100% not.
Next week, council capers.
Who pinched Gurpreet's election posters?
Apple AirTags, I'm going to hide inside my signs.
The great council heist whodunit.
We are only 100 meters away.
Gurpreet's rival, Bollywood singing Jazz, says it wasn't him.
Are you lying right now, Jazz?
100% not.
Do not miss that on Monday. And that's our program. I'm Deb Knight. Thanks for your company. From the team, enjoy your evening. Good night.